everyone, it's Roisin Anson. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is on chronic illnesses and how I personally continue to work on my books and write with my chronic illnesses. I have 3 chronic illnesses. First, I have hypermobility syndrome, where my joints sublux and dislocate, and I have really painful and swollen joints most of the time. My second condition is chronic fatigue syndrome, where no matter how much sleep I get, I still wake up really tired. It's not something that can change with how much you sleep or not. It's one that's a persistent level of tiredness. My last condition is fibromyalgia, which is a sensitivity to pain, constant pain, that sort of stuff. I've had these conditions for most of my life. My hypermobility I've had since I was 11. I'm 24 now, so over half my life. And I got diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia in 2019. So 5 years now. All of my conditions affect me in quite a lot of different ways, and they are very unpredictable. So I can be fine 1 minute and completely different the next. So there's not really much I can do to stop my conditions or to prevent having crashes or anything like that. But I know how to manage my condition more, mostly by not overdoing anything. For me, if I was to do everything that I could do in a day, I'd spend most of my time in bed not being able to do anything. Most of my conditions require pacing, so even though I'm relatively good and could do more, I'll cut myself off just because it's too much. And when my body is overwhelmed and has done too much, it basically shuts down, and I can go weeks up to a month without being able to get out of bed, sometimes even longer, just because it's a lot. And it's usually when I push myself that I have these crashes. How do I deal with working on a career that I want? To be honest, I'm not entirely sure, because I haven't published anything yet, and I've only really written 1 book, so I'm not entirely sure how my writing career will go. I know how to write a book, and I've gone through this round of edits, so I know how to manage that side of the career. However, there's obviously the business side of a career with a self-published author, which I have no idea how I'm going to work. So stay tuned for that video when I start publishing books to find out how I deal with that, because there probably will be updates on how I work with chronic illnesses, because my conditions are constantly changing and everything's evolving, so my routine will change when my situation changes. But currently I have tools and things that I do to prevent a crash. One of those is my bed, just randomly my bed. My bed is an adjustable bed, so I have a 2-part adjustable, so I can lower and raise the top part so I can sit up, and then I have the lower body one where I can lift my legs up. And along with my bed, I have a table desk that I have next to my bed. So when I'm not feeling very well pain-wise and it hurts to get up, I can still work on my novel or any other work that I need to do while in bed. So that's one way I deal with my hypermobility and fibromyalgia. When I have a chronic fatigue flare up where it's mental and I get brain fog and I can't articulate what I want to do. There's really not much I can do with that. Most of what I do is I do something that's low energy or that doesn't require a lot of brain power, thinking, that kind of thing. So writing the book, editing the book, those sorts of things I can't do then. But I can plot a book. I don't find that too hard, mainly because I'm a plantser. So I'm a bit of a plotter and a mostly plantser. I'm sorry about that, my dog started barking. I thought they heard something at the door, so if I've changed and moved, it's because of that. So as I was saying, I'm a plantser, so I mostly pants the novel, but there are certain things that I like to plan out a little bit ahead of time. So when I'm not feeling very well, if I've got something that needs plotting, I will do that then. And I am always working on plotting throughout the book, the next chapter, that kind of thing. Another thing that I do is watch YouTube videos on writing craft, because I find them really inspirational and I love to learn. So watching those and learning how other people's processes are, or how they structure a novel, write a novel, edit a novel, anything like that. I love watching that, so I will watch writing related videos, and most of the time that gives me some ideas, so I'll jot those down and that kind of thing. And that's mostly what I do when I'm not very well, with a chronic fatigue crash. Some of the other tools I have is Dragon, which is a speech to text software. So it's dictation, so I can, if I can't type or I'm struggling with that kind of a thing, I can speak what I want to write, which is a good tool to have. I find it very helpful. It is hard to get into. I find still I have trouble with using dictation, mainly because I'm so used to typing that when I have to think of words and how I want to string them together as speech, as you can tell from my videos, I'm not very good at that. So I do find it challenging to use, but it is a good tool when I sort of know what I want to say, just to finish off a sentence or that kind of thing. Another thing I have are these, which got a bit of fluff on them, and they go on your wrists. I think they're called wrist donuts or something like that. And when you're putting your hand on your desk, it stops you from having your wrists bent and raises them so that they're straight. Does that make sense? So instead of it being like typing like that, it straightens it and you can type like that. So your wrist isn't too bad. It's basically a, take these off. They're very comfortable though, so but yeah, they're basically a wrist pad that you have on keyboards, but because I move to different places when I'm not very well, and I go on my desk, and I go in my bed when I'm not very well, these are the best for that. Another thing I have is my desk. My desk is an adjustable desk, so it's a sit stand. You press a button and it lifts it, and it press another button, it sits down, and you can adjust it to the level that you want your desk to sit at, which I find helpful because some desks are too high and they hurt my shoulders, others are low and they hurt my back. So having it in the right position is really helpful. My desk chair is an ergonomic desk chair as well, so that helps with sitting for a long period of time. I've also got this, which doesn't look like a lot. It goes on the floor underneath the desk, and it's a footrest, so you put your foot there, or it can go that way and you can move your legs while sitting at your desk, which helps with circulation. And for me, I get pins and needles, cramps, dead legs, all of that quite easily. So being able to move my legs even while sitting down is really helpful for me. So I've got that. Another thing I have is a text to speech. So I find reading sometimes when my brain isn't very well to be quite challenging. Not that I don't love my book or love reading in general, but sometimes when I have the brain fog or my eyes are really strained and sore, reading can be really hard for me. So to have a software that reads what I've written to me, does that make sense? Reads what I've written to me, I find quite beneficial. It helps with figuring out the wording, to figure out if that's what I was meant to say and if it sounds correct, if the grammar's correct and all that sort of stuff. So that helps with the editing as well, so I do use it for editing as well. Sorry about that. I just had to figure out where I was because the phone went, and I had to go and check who it was. So yeah, that text-to-speech software helps with editing, and when I'm not feeling too great, just every day listening to what I've said, just to make sure that it sounds right and what I actually intended to say. Another thing that I have is this pencil, which is the Apple Pencil that goes with my iPad, but this little, I don't even know what it's called, it's an ergonomic pen grip or something like that, because I usually use my iPad to do my anything. I use my iPad for pretty much everything, so when I want to make notes or when I need to do something, having this really helps with my fingers and the pain. So yeah, I think that's mostly all of my tools that I use. And to be honest, most of what I do is just pace myself, so I know when I'm feeling relatively good, I do push a little bit, not too much, I could still do more, but I push a little bit, and then when I'm not doing too well, I take the day off. I don't try and push myself to overdo anything. Another thing that I do is I build in buffer to my deadlines. I take HB90. I did the HB90 course, and I do the quarterly plans every quarter. Within the HB90 plan, Sarah Cannon says to build in buffer time, especially if you've got chronic illnesses, just so that you're not overdoing yourself, overloading yourself, or putting too much pressure on yourself to hit this deadline that you know you're not going to be able to reach because you said, oh, I can do 3,000 words on a good day, so that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it in 60 days straight, and that's going to be great. No, it doesn't work like that. I build in quite a lot of buffer time, and I cut back on the amount of hours. So within this quarter, my average per week for task blocks, which is a 25-minute sprint with a 5-minute break, I've only done 39, so let's round that to 40. So basically in a week I work about 20 hours, and that was by design. I could do more, and sometimes I do, but I only want to work about 2 hours a day with the occasional extra bit in on some of the days, and I purposely every month mark off an entire week. Not that that's the week that I'm going on vacation or holiday, or I'm just decided I'm not going to do anything. No, I've taken it out as buffer time. If I am well all 4 weeks out of the month, I will work all 4 weeks. It isn't likely that I'm going to do 4 weeks straight of work. I'll have a couple of days here and there. Like this week. It is currently Wednesday and I haven't yet worked on my novel. I had planned to, and then something came up, and I decided that I wasn't going to work on my novel yesterday, and I'd worked over the weekend last week, so I purposely took off Monday, and then I thought I could work on Tuesday and the rest of this week, and something came up yesterday, so I actually haven't started my novel yet today or this week. I am planning on doing something today, but I have a lot going on. I'm going out for a meal tonight and I'm going out for a meal tomorrow, so that takes a lot out of me. So I will probably only do about an hour's worth of work today. Tomorrow might be a little bit more, and the rest of the week I will be paying a little bit of catch up, but I had it in my plan that I was going to have a couple of days off, so I've already accounted for that. However, I used most of the buffer time that I had earlier on in the month. It is give and take, and sometimes you do have to push yourself a little bit more, but for me, pushing myself is really difficult, and me pushing myself is probably what everybody else does on a day-to-day basis. I do not work full-time. This is my full-time job, and it's not even full-time. I'm doing, like I said, about 20 hours a week, and even then it's not. It's about 19 and a half, sometimes 10 hours a week, but I will be building that up. And once I've got to a place that I'm comfortable with, I will probably stop. I don't see myself being able to work 40 hours a week consistently. There's not a chance it's going to happen. My estimate is I will probably be working about a 30 week. My estimate is I will probably be working a 30-hour week, and that'll probably be the max that I can do, just because of my different conditions and how my body reacts. I won't be able to do the long hours and the pushing myself and doing that. I will push myself and work hard, but I won't be able to do the crazy amount of hours, all of the different pushing yourself to the brink of burnout. I've done that. It wasn't fun, and for me, my burnouts are weeks, months not being able to get out of bed. So fortunate for me, I know how detrimental that would be to my health, so I won't do that ever. But pushing myself then here and now would be probably someone's average. Just realised that I haven't mentioned my supports. I use different supports to support the joint that's dislocated, subluxed or in pain. I do that. I have supports for almost all joints. The only time that my joint dislocations really affect my writing is if it's my hips, and that's because I find sitting quite challenging when I have problems with my hips and my thumbs and wrists. my thumbs dislocate and my wrists do as well, but I have, as I said, supports for each of those. So if I'm not very well or if something's dislocated, I usually put a support on it. I can type without my thumbs. It's usually my wrists that are the problem with typing, but they don't dislocate very often. It's only when I've put too much strain on them that I have a really hard time writing, and that's why I use the donuts, because they help with the strain and pressure. Another thing that I should probably mention is my iPad. So I have my iPad. It's the big one. It's the 12.9 inch iPad, and I have a paper-like screen protector on it, so it feels like paper. I got this one because of it being so big, and sorry about the glare, and it helps with me being able to zoom in and out, and I find the bigger one easier with the writing. Don't know why, but I found that. So that, and obviously my Apple Pencil are really helpful for writing, and I find writing on like a notebook or paper to be really awkward. I think my wrist feels awkward when it writes on normal paper, so with my iPad I don't have that problem, so I will always use my iPad. I'm very digital. I don't think I have, I've got loads of notebooks. I like collecting notebooks. My problem is I don't actually write in them, so it's a waste of money, but I've got them. And then obviously I also use this for editing and reading my novels. So I use this for my rewrites. No, I use this for my rereads, and I've also got a Apple keyboard case, the case that you can put on it, and it makes it a keyboard. So instead of having to just use my laptop, I have my iPad that can be used as well, and I keep my iPad next to me. It's always on my desk, and my desk is by my bed. I have a tripod that you're currently sitting on next to my bed with my iPad in it, so if I did want to write something and I couldn't get up, I've always got my iPad next to me. And I work in Google Docs, so it obviously goes from device to device, so if I needed to, or if I thought of something and wanted to write, I don't need to get up out of bed to go to my laptop, which is sitting at my desk usually. I can just write on my iPad and get that thought out of my head, get those words done, without having to be in any extra pain or use any energy to get up and get to my desk. So that's another thing that I've got that helps to reduce my energy and not cause any unnecessary waste of energy. So that's how I manage my writing career with chronic illnesses. If you have any questions about my process, my conditions, anything like that, please feel free to comment them down below, and I'll get back to you. Please like and subscribe to this channel. Most of what I'm going to be doing is vlogs, so you will see my process and how I work with chronic illnesses later throughout the videos anyway. If you would like to see my process from start to finish on an everyday basis, or a day in the life, or anything like that, please comment what you would like to see. I have a few ideas, and I would like to do some of the challenges, like the 10k in a day, and the 24-hour write-a-thon. I haven't decided whether I'm going to do that, mainly because, as in this video, you know, I'm not really able to do that. But I would like to try it just the once. It might be the 24 in 36 hour challenge, or there was just a 24-hour Roisathon on the, I think it was the 17th to the 19th of June, where you could do 8 in 3 or 12 in 2. So I'll probably do something like that, where I do 8 hours over 3 days to get the 24 hours. And that doesn't seem right. 8, 16, 24. No. 8 hours in 3 days. So that'll be coming up soon, hopefully. It could be a while, because I need to get into a place where I have a break before and building time to have a break after. Okay everyone, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed listening to me talk about my different conditions, the tools I use to help with those conditions, and how I plan to work on my writing with my chronic illnesses. If you have any questions, please leave them down below and I will answer them. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already.